Hello yet again. As I said previously, doesn't time fly when you're having fun? Yeah? I hope you enjoyed my last video, which was all about lessons learned or using lessons learned from previous project reviews. All right, back on the old treadmill again. What am I going to speak about today? This week's question was sent in by Jabeena Zakir, who is a change manager come project manager who works for dNata in Dubai. Jabeena was actually the first ever person that joined my coaching and mentoring service program for change management, CM for CM. That was way back in 2017. Like I said, doesn't time fly when you're having fun? But I suppose the good thing is she's still with me today. So I guess I must be doing something right. Be honest, Jabeena, am I? Tell the truth, please. Okay, Jabeena's question is, during change, leaders in positions of importance need to show by doing, but they are often not equipped with the knowledge to be able to do this, and it's difficult to get their attention or a window of opportunity for any kind of meaningful engagement. Tell us how you would deal with this. Thank you, Jabeena, for putting my head on the chopping block. Where do I start? I suppose, I'll give the usual context, if I may. Let me give you, first of all, a definition of change leadership. Change leadership is the ability to influence and enthuse others through personal advocacy, vision and drive, and to access resources to build a solid platform for change. Change leadership is often viewed as the key to successful change. Tell us another story, please. As you can guess, I agree with those two definitions. Otherwise, I wouldn't have quoted them, would I? All right, moving on. Just before, though, I go any further, I'd like to just take an extract from Jabeena. I'm doing it again, aren't I? I'd just like to take an extract from Jabeena's question, where she talks about leaders in positions of importance. All right? I have assumed that this means the C-suite, CIO, CEO, CTO, CFO, you name it. But leaders of importance come in all shapes and sizes and with varying competencies even. And not necessarily from the C-suite. Let me give you an example. Just referring back to the previous video about how to get into change, I mentioned a book by Peter Senge called The Dance of Change, which was one of the first books I ever read. And in that, he refers to three different types of leaders. He refers to executive leaders. We all know about them, the C-suite, of course. Local line leaders, the middle managers. Yes, we know all about them. But the third one he refers to is internal networkers and community builders. Now, these may not be so obvious, but I guarantee they are there in abundance, and they are sometimes, frequently, the go-to people in times of change. People look up to these community builders and internal networkers and will go to them and ask them questions about what's going on because they feel they are the people in the know. All right, following on from that, in an article by HubSpot, they quoted 7 distinct leadership types and how effective they are. So just let me skip through those quickly. There's democratic, strategic and coaching style leadership, which is commonly effective. There's laissez-faire, transformational and transactional leadership, which is sometimes effective. And there's autocratic and bureaucratic leadership, which, guess what, is very rarely effective. Don't we all know that? Tell us something we don't know. So that, what I've just said, kind of demonstrates that different leaders have different strengths. Some might be brilliant thinkers who treat their employees unfairly, whilst others excel at motivating employees. but don't lack the strategic thinking to be able to move the organisation forward. So I guess the point I'm trying to make with what I've just said is that in the first instance, you need to understand who it is you're actually dealing with. Also, that leaders of importance sometimes announce change and then don't change anything about themselves, how they think and how they lead. And I think this is why Jabeena asked the question, which I'll now try and answer. Okay. From my practical framework approach to change, plug, specifically relating to sponsorship and leadership, which is what I call one of the 3 foundations of change, along with stakeholder management and communication, what I say is identify and work with a sponsor leader to ensure commitment to the change initiative, to regularly engage with them in relation to their key responsibilities, their visibility, building support, communication, managing resistance, setting priorities, and celebrating success. Great words. Words are always wonderful, aren't they? But, how do you do it? How do you get their time? It's difficult. So, referring back to this part of Jabeena's question, it is difficult to get their attention or a window of opportunity. How do you do that? Here's a few simple do's and don'ts. Don't introduce yourself. Do introduce yourself when they're free. Don't try and force it or interrupt them. If you see a company leader out and about, introduce yourself. Include a short description of who you are and what you do. If they see open to chatting, take a few minutes more to ask them some questions. Yeah? And if it's going particularly well, schedule a follow-up meeting if you can. Do jump at the opportunity for FaceTime. Don't take rejection personally. The worst thing that can happen is that they say no. So even if they decline a meeting, you're now on their radar. The door is very rarely closed. Reach out again later, see if their schedule has opened up at all. If they have a PA or an EA, try going through them because they'll manage their leaders' diaries. Do be willing to meet them on their terms. Don't be pushy and try and schedule a meeting. Say something like, I'd love to grab a few minutes of your time whenever you're available to tell you about whatever it is you want to tell them about. That communicates that you're flexible, sensitive to their busy schedule, and most of all, inquisitive. Right, you've managed to get their time. Brilliant. Then comes the next bit of the question. Any kind of meaningful engagement. Do be concise with the message. Don't try and cover everything in one conversation. It's very important to have a short, sharp version of what you want to speak to them about in advance. Leaders at all levels are overwhelmed with information. So the ability to keep things simple, clear, I'm doing it again, short, has a far greater impact. But I don't care, I'm going to carry on doing it. On to the next bit of Jabeena's question. During change, leaders of importance need to show by doing, but they are often not equipped with the knowledge to be able to do this. Once you've got some quality time with them, it might be an idea to go armed with some kind of checklist. I have one, and I'll just go through what it contains. Are they aware of their responsibilities, their key responsibilities, in supporting the change? Are they prepared to be active and visible through the change? Will they communicate directly and effectively with their employees? Are they prepared to build support that is needed for the change to be successful? Are they prepared to help you manage resistance? Will they celebrate success? And are they prepared to act on lessons learned, which was the subject of my last video, of course. And finally, will they set clear priorities between the change and business as usual? So, if during your quality time with them, you get any kind of inkling or hunch, about their commitment to any of those things I've just mentioned, this will point you in the right direction of the areas that you need to address with them. But just one word of warning. Be extremely careful how you engage with them in the future, because the last thing you want to do is to create a barrier between you and them. Remember, you're trying to win their support. Rightio, you've now got their support and they're with you on the highway of change. Another plug, sorry. But don't forget, it's a key part of your role as a change manager to help them manage their time and involvement with all of those things I mentioned previously. And also, it's a two-way street. The more you can help them, the sooner they will become the person you want them to be during your change journey. You're developing a strong, lasting relationship with them, which will stand you in good stead for the future. You will learn as much as they do from the experience. Herein endeth yet another You Ask, I Answer lesson, session, whatever you want to call it. Before I go, can I just ask a few questions? My turn to ask you a question. Are you enjoying these videos? I am, by the way. Yeah. Importantly, are you learning anything from them? Yeah. Are they useful for you? And finally, have you got any suggestions to make them more powerful, make them more interesting, make them more watchable? Yeah, I'm happy to receive any kind of feedback. Please tell me. So that's it again. Thanks ever for listening. Keep the questions coming. Subscribe. Click on the notification bell. Like, comment and share. In the words of Arnie, the Terminator, I'll be back.